Let's get more on this. Joining us live from Brisbane is Keith Tonkin. He's an aviation safety expert. Keith, accidents like this are thankfully rare. You've seen the footage, you've heard some of the information that's come out so far. What do you make of it?
You're right, these sort of accidents are rare. To have the images that coming through is quite distressing and disturbing, no doubt, for the family and loved ones of the people on board that aircraft. It looks quite terrible from the footage that I've seen, and to think that there was some sort of malfunction that caused the accident is cause for concern, and no doubt the investigation that ensues will help us to understand the causes.
Do you think at this stage in the investigation, in what's happened, there's any cause for grounding similar jets?
I don't think so. From the limited information that we have available, it's a 737-800 aircraft. There are many of those aircraft flying around the world and have been doing so safely for decades now. It's a tried and tested aircraft with well understood systems, and unfortunately, even with those tried and tested aircraft, things can go wrong from time to time. So it will be interesting to find out exactly what has happened here.
And talk to me about this landing gear. That seems to be, from, as you say, these initial reports coming out, the crux of the problem. What exactly does the landing gear do? How does it function? So it's obviously quite different from driving a car.
That's right. So the landing gear are the wheels that the aircraft rolls on when it's on the ground, and those wheels are retracted when the aircraft is in the air, so it can go faster. It's much more efficient aerodynamically with the wheels retracted into the fuselage. And if the wheels aren't down, the aircraft is going to land on its belly, and the wings are underslung on the 737. So you will see that the bottoms of the engines are impacted into the ground, and they're not designed to take that sort of impact. So the aircraft has slid quite a long way without being retarded correctly, which you would normally do with the brakes that are on the wheels, just like in a normal car. And unfortunately, it's ended up in a situation where it struck a very solid object and then caused that fire that we saw in the images.
And what about Boeing? I mean, I'm reading an article published just yesterday that it's been a miserable year. The company is still in crisis, and here we are, another one of their aircrafts having a problem. Can they recover from this? And is this, do you think, symptomatic of some of the wider problems that have been widely discussed at the company this year?
Yeah, there's no doubt that Boeing's in a bit of strife. We don't know if there's any connection between the broader circumstances that Boeing finds itself in now and the cause of this particular accident. As I mentioned before, there are a lot of 737-800s flying all around the world every day. And this is a very isolated incident, I suspect, but no doubt the investigators will find out as much as they can. And if there are any broader implications to that fleet or others that the Boeing aircraft company manufactures, then we'd like to know about that to make sure that we can resolve those issues as soon as possible.
Now, Keith, this terrible incident happened just a few hours ago, so of course we're in the very early stages of any investigation. How exactly does that happen? What's the process for investigating an accident such as this one?
Sure, there's a lot of people involved in the investigation. The aircraft and the remains of the people will need to be secured while the relative information that's important to the investigation is secured, and the black boxes, the recorders are recovered. They'll be very important, and also to make sure that the investigators understand the way that the aircraft landed and hit the ground, and then what happened when it came across the fence at the end. All of those issues will be interesting and important for the investigation. And then they'll go away and find out as much as they can from the data that's available and make their determinations, which will take some time, I'm sure. Then the aircraft will be cleared up, and the runway and the airport eventually will be returned to normal operations. And then it'll be a matter of waiting to find out what they found and if there's anything that can be done to prevent that from happening again.
And you were telling us a little bit about the landing gear. I just wonder, is that something then that can be seen as the aircraft approaches the airport for landing? Is that something that the pilot on board would have been aware of as he was trying to make his descent and land, or would it all have happened so quickly that there was just simply no way of knowing for the pilot and co-pilot on board?
Yeah, the pilots certainly get some indications in the cockpit as to where the landing gear is, whether it's up or down or in transit, that there are systems that are associated with the landing gear mechanisms that can tell the pilots if it's down and locked or not. And externally, you'll be able to see them down. You would have seen them hanging down below the aircraft in the imagery if they were down. So they will have known. And as I understand it, the information available at the moment says that they did a go-around or a missed approach and then tried again to land a second time. So that indicates to me that they were aware of the situation and that they tried to resolve the problem before they landed a second time, although no doubt there'll be more information to come about that as time goes by.
So pilots and air traffic control then in this awful situation of knowing that there was an issue with the aircraft as they were coming into land, and you're saying that they made more than one attempt, it seems like, to land safely before this incident happened. Is that right? Am I understanding that right?
That's what I'm reading online at the moment. In any case, if the pilots were concerned about the landing gear being down and locked and ready to land on, they would normally go through a checklist process to try and resolve that situation. And if they did know about it, then they would have made the air traffic controllers aware of it so that they could take the aircraft somewhere safe and then conduct some checks and try to work out what the problem was and resolve it themselves. Whether they knew that before they landed the second time or not, I'm not sure. It's further information to come yet. In any case, if they haven't landed with the landing gear down and they did know about it, then that's a terrible situation for them to be in.
All right, Keith Tonkin, thank you so much for joining us and for all of your insight on the programme this morning as we hear more about this terrible situation in South Korea. Thank you.
Thank you.